What is up, ladies? Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to Energy Shift with Erin. It's our weekly mindset, wellness, nutrition, fitness talk. And I'm here today to chat about some fall fitness tips. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up today is because, generally speaking, the fall tends to be a really good time for us to rededicate some of our efforts to our fitness goals or our body composition goals or just overall health and wellness goals. So I'm going to get into all of that today and hopefully help you break it down in a way that is super manageable for you to figure out, depending on whatever the outcome you want is. Whether, again, that's fat loss, energy improvement, symptoms of perimenopause or hormonal imbalance improved. All of those things are in my wheelhouse, and I'm going to go over how to accomplish that with movement, with prioritization of rest, and with nutrition quality. So when we want to think about wellness, we want to picture, I'm sure you have all seen that analogy. There's a college professor and he has a jar, and in on the side of the jar are big rocks, medium rocks, and like sand. So relatively like very small rocks, right? And if you pour the sand into the jar first, then you can't fit in the larger rocks and the medium rocks. If you put the medium rocks in first, you can't fit in the larger rocks, you can't fit in all of the sand. But if you start with the big rocks, move to the medium rocks, and then hit the small rocks, everything fits in the jar perfectly. And that's how we want to start looking at our health and wellness goals. Oftentimes, when we are approaching a new goal, especially if it's body composition related, like you want to lose 20 pounds, we tend to want to go all in. And that's where we get burnt out. We get decision fatigue. We get diet fatigue. We get that self-sabotaging mindset and find ourselves in a place of all or nothing. Like, if I can't dive into this, I am not going to do any of it. And of course, we know that that isn't the correct way to approach it, but it's hard when we're trying to change our efforts and not getting the results we want. So hopefully this will help you. What I like to do for my community, my clients, my Facebook groups, you guys, is give you an idea of how to start to build the foundation so you have non-negotiable wellness things that you do every single day. Something as simple as like drinking 80 ounces of water, going on a walk outside, those kinds of things that you can lean back on when life gets crazy. That way you're still checking some boxes when it comes to progressing forward with your goals, but you don't need to overwhelm yourself with all of it. Now, of course, if we have specific body composition goals, we do need to focus on nutrition. We do need to focus on consistent movement. We do need to focus on overall sleep quality and recovery quality. But we can work on improving our body composition, improving our health without extreme overwhelm. And that's what I try to do. It doesn't have to be keto, aggressive low carb dieting. It doesn't have to be hitting the gym for 2 hours a day. Nobody has time for that. What we can do is really build a sustainable lifestyle of wellness without extremes, without overwhelm. So we're going to start with the big rocks. The big rocks of wellness are going to be muscle mass and digestive health, essentially. So we want to make sure that we are getting in enough protein and enough fiber, and then moving our bodies in a capacity that's conducive to either muscle maintenance or building of metabolic tissue. And the reason why that's important is because as we age, as soon as we hit 30, our muscle mass starts to go down naturally. If we're not trying to maintain it at the very least, we are losing it, which is why we have a lot of people with struggles with fat gain as we start to approach late 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. It's not generally due specifically to hormones. It's due to metabolic health issues. And that all stems from the amount of muscle mass that you have. This is highly, highly important. So first, we want to make sure we're getting in enough protein. What I always recommend is, you do not have to track your food forever, but let's track for a short period of time. That short period for you could be a month, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, however long you need to start assessing the data that is driving your goals forward. So we want to make sure we're getting enough protein and enough fiber first. Those are going to be our biggest rocks of this equation. So we want to make sure we're at least getting 100 grams of protein in a day. If you are, and you want to take it to the next level, then we want to go somewhere between 0.8 and 1 gram of protein per pound of goal weight or current body weight. So for me, for example, I weigh about 135 pounds. And so I'm trying to get in about 135 to 140 grams of protein a day. Okay. So that's number one. We got to assess protein. We're starting with 100 grams first. Most people are consuming a little bit less than that on average when they're not tracking, somewhere between 75 and 90 grams. So it's just a little bit more protein, maybe a snack that's higher in protein or a protein shake or something along those lines that will bump you up to that 100. Once the 100 feels good, and this is going to help preserve that metabolic tissue that we need for our overall health. It helps with insulin resistance, helps with hormonal balance, it helps with inflammatory reduction. So this isn't just specifically body composition change. This is specific to health, but it is also conducive to that. So if your goal is to lose body fat or build muscle or get toned, all of this is going to go in line with that. So making sure that you are understanding these foundations of wellness first. And these are the things like every single day, I might not hit a workout. I may not hit my step goal, depending, things get crazy, but I'm always going to be able to fall by the wayside, like in my foundations, which for me are, again, water, making sure I drink at least two of these a day. So that gives me 80 ounces easy. I carry that around with me pretty much everywhere I go. And I'm going to hit my protein goal and I'm going to hit my fiber goal. So we're going to dive into fiber next. The reason why we want fiber and micronutrients. So micronutrients are going to be found in all of our foods. We have macronutrients, proteins, carbs, and fats, and all of those foods are made up of separate micronutrients. So things like iron, magnesium, selenium, all of the vitamins and minerals that we need for our bodies to thrive. And usually when our bodies are not responding the way that we want them to respond, it's because we're depleted in some sort of mineral or nutrient. We can combat that by making sure that we're eating mostly whole, single ingredient, high quality food. So less processed foods, less meals out. You're going to balance out any sort of issues or imbalances that you may have. And then you don't have to go through a deep dive because there's so many micronutrients that play vital roles in how our bodies respond. But we're not going to pick and choose and check every single one, or even with blood draws, it's really hard to do that. They're doing basic vitamins and minerals. Vitamin D is usually checked, those kinds of things, but they're not checking for everything that you might be low on. So we can just nip that in the bud and make sure that we are balanced for the most part with a lot of these very, very essential micronutrients. So that's going to come a lot from fiber, making sure we're getting in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds. All of those things are going to be amazing, amazing fiber sources. So we want to aim for somewhere between 25 and 30 grams of fiber a day. And this is why I say tracking is so important, because otherwise it's really hard to determine where you're at with protein, with fiber. And those two are going to move the needle so significantly. I have done trials where I have somebody work with me for just a week, 7 days. We're replacing a lot of the processed foods with whole foods while still keeping some balance and some fun stuff in there. We are making sure they're getting enough protein. We're making sure they're getting enough fiber. We've seen inflammatory reduction up to like 7 pounds. It's pretty crazy how much inflammation we're holding on to. Now, that's not necessarily body fat, but we have to get that inflammatory barrier down first, and then we can assess body composition from there. But it's pretty amazing. amazing. And once you get that inflammation off, the difference in how you feel, we have clothing sizes come down, rings fit again, sleep improvements, energy improvements, libido improvements, like all of these things in like 7 to 14 days. It's pretty crazy. And it's so simple, right? All we're doing is swapping out some of the processed foods for more whole foods. We're making sure we're getting enough protein. We're making sure we're getting enough fiber. We're not even paying attention to calories yet. And so then the next thing is going to be movement in some capacity. Walking, I just got myself a weighted vest, and I know that sounds very hypey, but I actually am really, really liking it. So when I go on my walks every day, I have a little extra effort with 15 extra pounds on my body. So something that you can easily do. A lot of people get caught up in like, do I have to get a gym membership? For some goals, yeah, you are going to need to get a gym membership. And I'm always going to promote resistance training for women because it's so imperative that we have that strength. We are more prone to bone density issues. We're more prone to autoimmune issues than men are. And a lot of that has to do with stress and underconsumption of vital nutrients because women have been told they have to be small for so long. And so we tend to restrict food very significantly, especially in our younger days. And that can lead to a lot of issues as we get a little bit older. We see that in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause if we're not being mindful of these nutrients and our movement and metabolic health. So another benefit to walking is that you're going to improve your sleep, being outside in the sun. And I know it's hot in the Phoenix area. So, early mornings, evening, dusk time might be a good time for you to go on walks. And if you can't, getting on a treadmill, going to the gym, whatever, that's fine too. It's going to serve the same purpose. But as much as you possibly can, we do want to get that natural vitamin D because it does help with circadian rhythm, meaning that your sleep quality is going to improve, which this sleep is so vital to every aspect of our health. And we tend to overlook it, especially moms, because you're so busy. You've been waking up with babies, like all of these things are happening. But if we're not prioritizing sleep to the best of our ability, we're going to have higher blood sugar spikes. We're going to have more inflammation. We're going to have higher cravings. Our bodies want more fast digesting carbohydrates. It's harder for us to adhere to a plan when we're exhausted. So making sure that we are doing everything that we can to improve sleep quality is huge. And this will help. Getting outside, getting that natural vitamin D during the day helps with natural cortisol production. We want cortisol. Cortisol has gotten this bad rep, but really what happens is we want cortisol in the morning. As it comes down throughout the day, we then want it to turn into melatonin production for sleep, and getting outside and getting vitamin D is highly beneficial in that capacity. Okay. So we're starting with protein and fiber. We're going to track our food for a few days just to see where we need to go, make sure we're hitting those goals, those marks. And then when you're ready, then we're going to implement some sort of movement, whether that be walking, getting 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day. If you want to add a little bit of higher effort to that, like I said, you can do the weighted vest that we're seeing everywhere. I like it. I wasn't sure I was going to like it. And I'm not really like a gimmick hype girl. I like to stick to the basics. I like to stick to the science. But for me, it just gives me that little extra oomph in my walk to sweat a little bit more, burn a little extra calories. Maybe it's a little bit mental too. It feels a little bit harder and I like it. Okay. So if you're like me, you probably would enjoy it as well. It's a little bit of self-competition. I got the 15-pound vest. If you guys need a link for that, I got it on Amazon and I can share that link with you. But yeah, something like that. Or we start to implement resistance training. Such a huge game changer when it comes to your body composition, when it comes to your hormones, when it comes to your metabolic health. Getting into the gym or working out from home if you have some home equipment, even just 30 minutes 2 to 4 times a week is so impactful for so many different reasons. One, that toned lean muscle mass that everybody asks for, that everybody wants, that athletic look. That's what it's going to give you. It's going to allow you to have more caloric flexibility, meaning that you can eat more calories and maintain your body composition. It's going to burn more calories at rest, meaning that if you are trying to lose fat, the more muscle you have, fat loss becomes that much easier. It helps with insulin resistance, all kinds of hormonal functions that we tend to overlook, but they do make fat loss harder. Muscle is basically the cure for that. Helps us look younger, helps with saggy skin, all of these things that we are facing as we get into our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. And if you're younger than that, it's a great opportunity to get started. I started at 30. So now it's been almost 13 years. But dang, I wish I would have started at 25, because I like just having that knowledge in my 20s so that I wasn't so much at war with my body would have been so beneficial. Okay, so then we're talking about the medium rocks. Medium rocks are going to be caloric intake and then carb and fat intake. For women, we want to keep fats somewhere between 45 and 55 grams on the low end. It can go up. It can be higher than that. Healthy fats are amazing for our hormones and amazing for our gut health and amazing for satiety, meaning if you are somebody who experiences that food noise term, like you're constantly dealing with cravings, thinking about food, oftentimes that is a nutrient imbalance. And generally speaking, we can avoid that, or at least minimize that, with making sure that we're getting enough healthy fats and that we are getting enough fiber. So I tend to roll with fiber first because a lot of us have bloating, we have inflammation, we have some backup, like some constipation going on, all of which can make it seem like our bodies are not changing, or we're feeling sluggish, we're feeling very tired all the time, we're feeling brain fog, low energy. So that's why I start there. But then moving into carbs, fats, and calories, this is where we really start to dive into body composition change. So if you are looking to lose body fat, you need to eat in a caloric deficit. If you're okay with your weight, you just want to improve your health, you want to improve your energy, you want to grow some muscle mass, you want to eat at caloric maintenance. If you are really excited about building muscle, then you can go into like a lean bulk, like a slight surplus of calories. The way that we want to determine our caloric intake, we're going to take our current body weight and multiply it by somewhere between 12 and 14. Okay. So if you, let's say you weigh, I'll do me, for example. I weigh 135 pounds. My maintenance is roughly about 2,200 calories. So take your body weight, multiply it between 12 and 15. 12 is going to be sedentary, super sedentary. And then 15 would be highly active. So you maybe have an active job, you're walking all the time, you're going to the gym already. I like 14 for most people that are walking 7 to 10,000 steps a day and working out 2 to 4 times a week, somewhere between 13 and 14. I don't like to lean into 12 because I don't prescribe wellness without movement. And so we're always going to get movement up first. But either wherever you're at, you can utilize whatever you think is right for you. 13, 14 seems to be the sweet spot for most people. So take your current body weight, multiply it somewhere between 12 and 15. Then, depending on your goal, if you're maintaining and building muscle, you just leave it. That's your caloric intake. If you are wanting to lose body fat, then you take that number and subtract 300 to 500 from it. If you are in a higher body fat percentage, you have a little bit more flexibility. Let's say you need to lose more than 60, 70, 80 pounds. You're in that range. I would say 70 plus pounds. You can go a little bit harder with that deficit. You may even go, 600 to 800 calories in a deficit. That's okay. You have a little bit more flexibility. But if you have less weight to lose, we want to stick somewhere with 500 being the top of our deficit. And the reason why is we don't want to continue to lose muscle mass. It's going to put us in a compromised metabolic state at the end of our fat loss phase, making weight gain a lot easier. And what we want to do is mitigate that. We want to lose the fat, keep it off, and maintain and just be happy, right? So we don't have to do this over again. So let's say your deficit is 500 calories a day. So for me, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, somewhere around 16 to 1700 would be a deficit that would work for me. My protein goal is 135 grams a day. Then I'm going to set my fat goal at 55 grams a day. I like a slightly higher fat diet. It's not super high fat, obviously. And then the rest will just be carbs. When you get into the tracking app, you'll be able to see how to do this. It will figure out that for you. Now, you may decide once you get into tracking that you want to be a little bit more flexible with carbs and fats. That's fine. As long as you're staying within your caloric window, you're hitting your protein goal and you're hitting your fiber goal. Some days you can be slightly higher in fats and lower in carbs and vice versa. That gives you a lot more flexibility to be able to enjoy meals out or enjoy if somebody else cooked a meal, or really just have I tend to eat very similar things week to week, day to day. I don't have a problem with that. Some people need more variety. And if you need more variety, this gives you that option to be able to do that. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the small rocks. And for me, the small rocks aren't necessarily non-important. They're super, super important. But we have to look at them as a part of the biggest overall picture. But if you think about the sand in the jar, it's going to kind of encompass all of this. So if we have the big rocks down, a lot of these smaller ones are just going to kind of improve or fall in by the wayside. So things like water consumption, making sure that you're getting somewhere around half of your body weight in ounces every single day. I make it easy. I just carry around my basic girly Stanley cup. I probably need to get a new one. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's like peeling. But anyway, it's gotten a lot of use over the past couple of years that I've had it. And so I just try to get 2 of these a day. Sleep. We've mentioned sleep, but it's super beneficial. So when we're navigating this, we want to start with protein and fiber. We're going to add in walking. We're going to add in calories. We're going to add in resistance training. And then we're going to look at biofeedback, which is making sure you're hydrated. That can help with cravings too. If you're feeling a lot of cravings, you're already hitting your protein, you're hitting your fiber, then we want to look at water consumption and make sure you are hydrated enough. Then we're going to look at sleep quality, making sure you're getting on average 7 to 9 hours per night of uninterrupted sleep. Some good ways to be able to start working on sleep quality is have similar sleep-wake times, start to turn the lights in the house down, especially if you put the kids to bed and you're up for a little bit with your partner, your husband, spouse, whatever. If you start to lower the lights in the house, that signals to your body to start creating melatonin. So you start to get a little sleepy. Get off the phone. No more scrolling before you go to bed. I know it's hard. But if you can separate yourself from those constant dopamine hits, that's going to dramatically improve your sleep quality. And let's face it, social media, although obviously I benefit from it, I love it, but it can also be very damaging to our mental health. There's a lot of stressful things on there as well. So right before bed probably isn't the greatest time to be scrolling TikTok or Instagram or even Facebook. So especially if it triggers you. I know sometimes for me, I maybe not triggered, but I feel the need to respond. So then my brain is starting to work again when I'm wanting it to shut down, when I'm wanting it to calm for the day. Okay, so we've covered protein, we've covered fiber, we've covered calories, carbs, fats, water, and sleep. Those are the main things that are going to encompass your fat loss and body composition journey, as well as your health goals. I did not mention cardio because I kind of think cardio even falls into the even smaller rocks. If it's something that you love doing, of course, we want to keep that in the routine. But for me, walking, getting those 10,000 steps a day is plenty for most people to improve their body composition, improve their health markers, and start to feel better without adding extra stress. Cardio can be perceived by the body as an extra stressor, especially if our body is stressed from caloric deficit, from life, raising kids, having jobs, owning businesses, all of the things that we do. And my preference is to not stack stressors. We want to keep stress managed as low as possible in order to accommodate wellness. And that makes sense, right? If stress is taking over our minds, taking over our lives, taking over our bodies, it's going to be really hard to get the body to respond in a healthy way, because it's always under this perceived fight or flight situation. We're always in fight mode. We have to get out of fight mode. We have to regulate the nervous system. And all of this is going to do that. Another small rock thing that can be highly beneficial, especially if you are more prone to stress, is short meditations. I'm talking like 60 seconds. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour. 60 seconds, quiet room, even if that's the bathroom and you have to lock the door. Just like, I like to do some vagus nerve tapping. So just kind of chest tapping. It helps to, like, if you just start doing this, if you're watching this, just start doing this where you're at, here and here. You'll immediately feel more calm. And if you just go to the bathroom, let your mind kind of wander, close, like picture something peaceful and focus a little bit on some vagus nerve tapping, you will feel significantly calmer. And again, that 60 seconds is all you need. It doesn't have to be this overwhelming thing. All of these things can be accomplished relatively easily without a massive time suck, as long as you are starting to understand some of the data. And that's why tracking this is so important, really being able to pay attention to trends, especially if you have a specific body composition goal. If we're just focusing on health and nervous system repair, tracking isn't as necessary. In that case, you could do something like hand portions, and you can Google that, or I have a guide. If you want it, let me know. I can send over a hand portion guide to you just to make sure that you're creating balanced meals. That all of this it adds up so significantly. You will not regret trying it out, and just giving yourself the opportunity to clear the system, heal the gut, lose body fat if that's the goal, feel more in control of your day, in control of your life, in control of your food environment, which leads to less decision fatigue and less overall stress. So hopefully this was helpful for you. If you ever have any questions about your body composition goals, your health and wellness goals, any general negative biofeedback like sleep issues, energy issues, hormonal weight gain, that kind of thing, please feel free to hit me up. I am here to help you. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you back here next week.
Struggling to feel your best? When energy is low and nothing seems to work, it's time for a new approach. Here's someone who guides real people to real, lasting wellness. Meet Erin McDonald, certified master health coach, nutrition coach, and NASM personal trainer. Helping you create simple, lasting routines that support a healthier, more energized you. Feel better, move better, live better. Because health isn't just a goal, it's a lifestyle you deserve. Take the first step toward feeling your best. Your future self will thank you. Connect with Erin today.